story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. I am Abosedi Omowi. In our top stories tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to explore the potentials available in the agriculture and solid mineral sectors to tackle the high rate of unemployment in Nigeria. In a statement today, his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, discloses that the president made this known at a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Denmark, Lars Rasmussen, in Washington, D.C. He says his administration had resolved to return to the sectors that were abandoned for petroleum in the past as a way of making the country a more productive one. President Buhari, who is currently in the United States for the 4th Nuclear Security Summit, says the rapid diversification of Nigeria's economy remained top on his administration's agenda. In a related development, the federal government is strengthening its relations with Denmark as a means to diversifying the nation's economy. At a meeting with the Prime Minister of Denmark, Lars Rasmussen, in Washington, D.C., President Muhammadu Buhari reaffirms the federal government's determination to significantly invest in agriculture. He equally speaks on the moves by the federal government to reduce the very high bill for importation of products to Nigeria. Danish Prime Minister Rasmussen assures President Buhari that Danes will be very interested in investing in the development of Nigeria's agricultural sector if the right policies and conditions are put in place. Meanwhile, President Buhari further assures the Danish Prime Minister that the federal government will continue to work in partnership with other countries to further improve maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to the global fight against the threat of nuclear terrorism and other forms of terrorism. The president, speaking in Washington, D.C., also pledges Nigeria's continued support for all multilateral efforts aimed at promoting a common approach and commitment to nuclear security at the highest levels. President Buhari notes that to enhance nuclear security, Nigeria has reinforced its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, the United States Department of State Partnership for Nuclear Security, and the World Institute for Nuclear Security. In Nigeria's country statement to the 4th Nuclear Security Summit being hosted by United States President Barack Obama, President Buhari adds that Nigeria has developed a program to ensure that radioactive sources in the country are better secured to prevent unauthorized access by terrorists and criminals. President Buhari equally praises President Obama's pace-setting initiative and drive, which he says has brought the global fight against the threat of nuclear terrorism to its present level. Meanwhile, now the Nigerian army says its troops have killed 9 members of the Boko Haram sect during a clearance operation at Wolwota near Jere in Bama local government area of Borno State. In a statement on Saturday, the acting director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, discloses that the troops of the 115 Task Force Battalion who carried out the operation also destroyed an improvised explosive devices factory in the area. Usman says the troops recovered one laptop, a solar panel, a pair of Nigerian military desert and woodland camouflage uniform each, as well as bandolier vest and 6 ready IEDs pressure plates. The troops also freed 21 captives of the deadly sect, now said to be undergoing screening at the headquarters of the 155 Brigade for medical attention and possible handover to the relevant agencies. In the meantime, the Nigerian Army has announced the reopening of the Mai Malari Cantonment Mami Market, Maiduguri, after 3 years of being closed down due to insurgency. The General Officer commanding 7th Division of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Victor Ezogu, made the announcement at the launch of the Chief of Army Staff Investment Initiatives for Barracks Community in Maiduguri. He says the reopening of the market is to alleviate the sufferings of the barracks community, which had been negatively affected by the long closure. The Army official also distributed 1 million naira soft loans to 10 women cooperative groups, as well as 10 tricycles to 10 barrack youths as part of the initiatives. Now, another fire outbreak has hit a furniture market located at Gwarzo in the ancient city of Kano, destroying goods valued at millions of naira. The fire outbreak, which engulfed the entire furniture market in the wee hours in Gwarzo, was finally brought under control by firefighters after battling with the fire for about 3 hours. Eyewitnesses say stalls and property were completely razed at the wood section of the market, popularly known as Yan Katako. Now, the annual meeting of the Police Community Relations Committee has taken off with the national chairman of the committee, Farouk Mayama, charging the police to do more in tackling crimes, especially after midnight. The chairman, who also commands efforts by the force headquarters in stemming the tide of crimes, says these efforts will be given added impetus by ensuring that policemen are always on the road, especially after midnight. Correspondent Kozim Kasali has more in this report. We'll bring that report in as subsequent bulletins. And moving away from there now, the Cross River State Commander of the Nigeria Immigration Service has arrested and paraded 2 illegal immigrants, Shahid Mahmoud, a Pakistani, and Nji Higgs Chi from Cameroon. Addressing journalists at the command headquarters in Calabar, the command controller Funke Adeoye discloses that the immigrants were arrested at Yahe in Yala local government area of the state by the border patrol team. She says that after a thorough profiling of the 2 illegal immigrants, it was discovered that both of them had no valid traveling document to be in Nigeria. The controller further discloses that the illegal immigrant will be subjected to further security checks. Now, youth wants the federal government to create an enabling environment for the achievement of the African Union Agenda 2063. Speaking at a press conference in Lagos, they say there is the need for government to support them financially and for more awareness of the agenda in order to fast-track the realization of its set-out vision and mission. African Union Agenda 2063, created in 2013, strives to enable Africa remain focused and committed to the ideals envisaged in the context of a rapidly changing world. Sarah Ayeku has more in this report.
African Union Agenda 2063, a strategic framework for the socio-economic transformation of the continent for the next 47 years. It seeks to accelerate the implementation of past and existing continental initiatives for growth and sustainable development. Africa, known as greener pastures for grazing developed countries, needs to encourage our youth for repositioning.
Africa is not a place of insecurity. Africa is not a place of poverty. All of these challenges exist simply because young people's potential has not been adequately utilized. If we don't speak out, the government will not hear.
The youth has the drive, but cooperation of governments of the various countries is low.
Government should support these young people, especially in terms of funding. Then along the line, we're going to have policy statements written. I also think that they should pay due attention to these policies so that perhaps it could be passed.
For the governments of Africa, we've done poorly in implementing this goal. It has to start first from awareness. From awareness, it gets to actions. From actions, it gets to our dreams being reality. So we are still at the initial stages of awareness, but I think it's taking too long. We must do more.
Meanwhile, 50 years is undoubtedly an extremely long development planning horizon. However strategic the purpose might be.
Our confidence is in the fact that we are trying to build a future beyond ourselves. Not just for us, something our children's children will be proud of, something our great-grandchildren will be proud of, not just something you would benefit, not necessarily, but something future generations will benefit from.
The ball is set rolling as discussions for the development of Nigeria and Africa at large gets underway. For Africa to reach greater heights by 2063, each member country is expected to create the awareness and instill a culture of possibilities in every African. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And now a total of 12 petrol stations have been sealed off in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital by the Department of Petroleum Resources for selling petrol above the federal government approved price of 86 naira 50 kobo per litre. The Operations Director of Department of Petroleum Resources, Eket Basin Kanga, who led the operation, says the action was taken to save the public from unnecessary hardship caused by greed on the part of some petrol dealers in the state. He wants dealers to revert to the federal government approved price or face the consequences, adding that the DPR remains determined to enforce the government's directive. Many other petrol stations in the state capital have also been sealed off for other offences, including operating without license and diversion of products. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a quick break now, and when we come back, we'll bring you more reports. Do stay with us.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
Angela, that's a great question.
Great question, Angela.
Angela, that is a very great question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah, very good question.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's an interesting question.
This is an interesting question you pose.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
It's great to have you join us again on CoreTV Primetime News. Let's take another look at our top stars. For more on our top stories, all the news and information, kindly visit our social media platforms. Facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can as well follow on our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV, Leave Space News. In education matters, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, Niger Delta University branch, have criticized the Bayelsa State Governor, Sariake Dixon, over their unpaid 3-month salaries. In a communique signed today by the chairman, Stanley Ogon, Wilcox Fakidoma, Ekipre Dinaga, and Kenneth Akpofaga, The groups point out that the non-payment of their salaries have made lives unbearable for them. They say the development has made their members unable to meet their parental obligations, resulting in their children dropping out of school due to inability to pay school fees. The groups commend the state government staff verification as a means of exterminating payroll fraud in the system, but fault its timing, describing it as a calculated attempt to further worsen the already critical state of the people. And to health matters now, Nigeria today joins the rest of the world to mark this year's edition of the World Autism Awareness Day. The World Autism Day is celebrated annually on April the 2nd with unique fundraising awareness-raising events. The theme for this year's celebration is Autism and the 2030 Agenda, Inclusion and Neurodiversity. The United Nations has emphasized the need to mainstream disability in the organization development agenda. The mainstreaming requires an integral approach in the design, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies and programs. The United Nations strategy has become imperative considering that autism and other forms of disability are part of the human experience that contributes to human diversity. The 2016 observance looks ahead to 2030 and reflects on the new SDGs and the implications for improving the lives of people living with autism. In other health matters at this time, health experts are canvassing early detection of cancer as the best protection against the disease. This is the crux of their message at a sensitization program on cancer awareness, which held in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. Udwa Godwin reports that the program, organized by Farmers Cancer and Research Center, is geared towards enlightening the public on reduction strategies that can lower the physical, emotional, and financial burden on cancer patients. The report.
While many cancers are linked to lifestyle factors such as unhealthy diet, smoking, and lack of physical exercise, more than 2/3 of these deaths, particularly in Africa, are caused by infections like hepatitis B and C, which causes liver cancer. Hadiza Bello-Yero, who was once the victim of cervical cancer, is passionate on providing a world-class diagnostic center in Taraba that will be affordable to all.
Out of 100% people with cancer, only 20% are lucky. No, it's early. The remaining 80 are always in the last stage and they cannot survive.
Early detection remains the answer to saving lives and in increasing survival. It therefore becomes imperative to raise awareness about the disease and to develop practical strategies to address the increasing cancer burden.
Of which we know that 130,000 people visit India and other countries for cancer treatment alone. So we're not only going to cut down on the number, we are going to also cut down on the cost. Because we cut down on flight, we also cut down on treatment costs.
The gesture to some of the participants draws attention to the fact that everyone has to be socially responsive when it comes in preventing the scourge of cancer in families, society, and the global community.
I learned a lot, despite I'm a nurse. But today, I think what I learned here really helps me.
Sometimes ago I thought maybe the cancer is only meant for women because they talk of cancer of the breast. So with this program now, I know that men also have cancer of the breast.
Yes, I'm very excited about this vision. It's a very good one. It's one worth supporting. It is for the betterment of the society, all of us, different levels, different strata.
By 2030, 70% of the world's cancer burden will be in poor countries. This is according to the predictions from the World Health Organization. And the need for awareness, diagnosis, and screening is becoming more imperative. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
In other reports, Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha has urged all aspiring political office holders in the state to endeavor to identify with the grassroots and initiate projects and programs that would touch the lives of people and the grassroots. The governor made this call while commissioning the last of the series of Neoma Skills Acquisition and Empowerment Center at Ihite Uboma local government area of Imo State. He says every political or elective office has an expiry date, and as such, the positive impact made in many people's lives through positive programs and policies will be the legacy they will be remembered for. Governor Okorocha further notes that the establishment of the Skills Acquisition and Empowerment Center by the Office of the First Lady is in line with his campaign promise of creating employment, industries and factories in the state. And in other news, Governor Tanko Almakura has revoked the contracts of some abandoned projects in Karu local government area of the state. He made this known while inspecting the uncompleted bridge leading to the popular Orange Market in Maraba and the Maraba-Kabayi Road in Karu local government area of the state. Almakura, who expressed dissatisfaction with the level of work, believes the revocation will enable projects to be completed before the rain sets in and also help ease the difficulties faced by traders and motorists. Well, you're still watching CoreTV News, CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a quick break now and we'll bring you a report from outside Nigeria. Among them, at least 30 soldiers have been killed in fighting between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces along the front lines of the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. Details after this break. To join us again.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. Now to report from outside Nigeria. Heavy fighting has broken out between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces along the front lines of the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. Officials from each country blame the other for the fighting that began overnight, though there were no immediate figures on the casualties. The Armenian Defense Ministry spokesperson, Asrın Hovanesyan, claimed on a Facebook post that Armenian forces in the region shot down an Azeri military helicopter, a claim which has been denied by Azerbaijan government. Hovanesyan says active combat is currently underway and the Armenian army has launched a counter-attack, pointing out that there are victims on both sides, but the opposing side has sustained huge losses in manpower and equipment. Nagorno-Karabakh has been under the control of Armenian military and separatists since a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan ended in the year 1994. A mass grave of 40 bodies was discovered by the Syrian army in the ancient city of Palmyra in Homs province. An official says the engineering unit and popular defense groups combed the area and uncovered the mass grave, pulling out 40 corpses in Masakin al-Jahizia neighborhood in the city. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which monitors the conflict through a network of activists on the ground, discloses that ISIL had killed a number of people at an earlier time and buried them in the grave. The Syrian army recaptured the ancient city from the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, also known as ISIS group, last week. Now, a group of women activists were prevented from entering a temple in Western India despite court orders that there should be no gender discrimination at Hindu religious places of worship. The High Court in Mumbai earlier ruled that women had a fundamental right to enter and pray inside temples across Maharashtra state, ordering the state government to ensure that the women were not prevented from entering temples. Calling it a victory for their campaign, 25 activists from the Bhumata Ranragini Women Warriors of Mother Earth Brigade attempted on Saturday to enter the Shani Shignapur temple, which has been traditionally open to only men, but were stopped by angry villagers from offering prayers in the temple's inner sanctum. Addressing journalists, Bhumata Ranragini Brigade Chief Trupti Desai says they will file a police complaint against the Chief Minister and the Home Minister. Let's now through our sports reports tonight.
Our style, and that's what he delivered.
In sports at this time, the Minister of Youth and Sport, Solomon Dalung, has said that he cannot force the president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, and his board members to resign their position in the Football Federation. Dalung made this known while answering questions from sport writers in Abuja. The minister notes that he cannot use social media gossips as basis to implement laws against members of the NFF board. Dalung adds that the ministry will be meeting with the leadership of the NFF to review the authentic technical report on the 2017 AFCON qualifiers. The minister says he would make a categorical statement on every situation after the meeting. Let's now take you through a result of Premier League matches played today, Saturday, April the 2nd. Chelsea defeated Aston Villa by 4-0. Arsenal treated Watford to a 4-0 defeat. And in a related swift, Bournemouth suffered a 0-4 defeat to Manchester City. In other matches, Norwich gained a goal over Newcastle United by defeating them by 3-2. Stoke City drew 2-2 with Swansea, and Sunderland drew 0-0 with West Brom. Also, West Ham drew a 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace, while Liverpool drew a 1-1 draw with Tottenham. Now, the sport report, organizers of the World Yacht Race have announced that Sarah Young, an amateur British sailor who died after being swept into the Pacific Ocean while competing, will be buried at sea. The body of Young, who was taking part in the year-long race on the Icocol boat, was recovered by crewmates after she was washed overboard while taking part in the Clipper Round the World Yacht Race. Organizers say the family of 40-year-old Young have given their consent that she be buried at sea as soon as weather conditions allowed, considering the long time it would take to reach closest landfall. Founder of the race, Robin Knox Johnston, says everyone is in shock, promising a full investigation into events surrounding Sarah Young's death. Sarah Young is the second person to die in this year's event, after fellow Briton Andrew Ashman, a crew member of the same boat, died after being knocked unconscious in September of 2015. Well, that's it on sport and on CoreTV Primetime News. Before we go, let's take a recap of our top stars. Well, that's it on CoreTV Primetime News today. Thank you so much for watching. I am Abosedi Omowi. Have a very pleasant night rest.